We are live.
Oh, we're live. All right. Well, hey, party people. It's me and Christina. It's Brian Fink, pronouns he, him, his. I'm joined by Christina Mosheri, and we've got a very special guest for you today. Before we get into our special guest, I just want to shout out to Christina and say, Christina, how's your week going? Are you killing it? What's going on?
You know what? Can't complain. It's going really well. It's beautiful in Michigan. Phil is also from Michigan, so this weather is just getting the weather. We're hitting the jackpot today, so really excited for today's live. And I've had a great week. How about you, Brian? I know you've been busy, but
yeah, I was gonna say I've been busy, but it's nice to have some tranquility, and I think that's what I think that's one of the things that we're gonna index on today when we speak with Phil. So, I've been busy this week. I've been a hustle monster. If you need to connect with me on LinkedIn, I'm sorry about the inbox. I apologize. I will reach out. I will get to you. But about getting to, we've got a full hour with Phil, who is an industrial and organizational psychologist. We are super excited to have him with us on the big show. He has a rich history of coaching, teaching, sales, distribution, manufacturing in the OEM segments of aerospace and automotive industries. When I spoke to Phil, Christina and I had a call last week, or I should say just the other day, where we were talking to Phil about his mission and his purpose. And he really accentuated that it's his philosophy to help people go from where they are today to a better place tomorrow. So Phil, I want to welcome you to the big show. Christina and I are really excited to have you here.
Really excited.
Thank you very much, Christina and Brian. I really appreciate the invitation, and hopefully the material that I share today will help everyone, even if it's just a little. Sometimes that's all it takes to get to where you need to be or where you want to be. And actually, I'd like to start there. As far as my sales philosophy and personal brand impact, and how it connects to LinkedIn.
Awesome.
And to start out with, it's very simple. Just be honest. Be honest with yourself. Be honest with those that you serve. Be honest to those that you report to. And in essence, by doing that, we are creatures of habit. We become who we are, and that is, we become a trusted resource, and which enhances everyone's lives that I touch personally or professionally. In essence, I always sense that everyone is either a customer or a client, and they just don't know it yet.
You talk about that, and it reminds me of the book by Daniel Pink, Everybody Sells, right? And I think that one of the things that we touched on, and that I'm really excited that we're going to have a conversation around today, is the importance of authenticity, which you touched on already, and how you, quote unquote, can communicate that or sell that to another individual. Phil, do you want to pick up on that?
Sure. In fact, it's gone so well. At first it seemed like a novel idea, just to be myself and have my defenses down. But strangely enough, as I proceeded to do this, specifically on LinkedIn, I was met with the authenticity that I was projecting. So in essence, when I started to travel in that lane, so to speak, I was rewarded with folks that were either like-minded or offered to provide a different approach or a different angle of the subject matter that I was embarking upon. So it actually helped from having pseudo coaches that I didn't know were on LinkedIn, that all of a sudden it was like, wow, I was just reading their posts on occasion. Next thing you know, the light bulbs start going on. And I recognize the connections of my authenticity and the LinkedIn profile, LinkedIn platform, which I have to give thumbs up to. It's really been a positive experience for me, and hopefully all those that I touch.
Yes, absolutely. I just want to give a little disclaimer here. I am in a public place. If there's beeping in the background, I am very sorry. I myself hate when things are stimulating in the background. So this is just a disclaimer. Really sorry. I hope it doesn't make the experience any less enjoyable today, but I'm going to do my best. And Brian's been trying to mute me in the background.
Christina's been fighting.
I'm like, Tim Hortons has to make
you on the mute button,
okay?
Phil. If you're wondering why we're laughing a little bit, it's because I put her on mute, then she comes off and beeps, and it's been kind of playful that way. Speaking of playful, you talk about unlocking, and that is the name of the show, LinkedIn Unlocked, about unlocking substance on LinkedIn and getting beyond the coaching that's there. How do you extenuate yourself really go beyond the signal and the noise and really be that signal in a field full of people who are talking about anything but elevating the conversation?
Excellent question. In fact, it's something that I practice daily. And that is, I unplug, I get out in nature. I have a couple of nice parks near where I live, and I even leave the phone in the car. And I clear the mechanism, so to speak. And have to share a quick little story in that yesterday I was off the beaten path, so to speak, and I'm standing against a tree. And as I'm standing there, a wild turkey flies over me, lands on the path in front of me, and just stands there looking at me. I don't do anything. Next thing you know, there's a Rhodesian Ridgeback dog standing next to me, looking up at me, and I didn't know where it came from. And next thing you know, there's a man standing on the path. He says, "Wow, I didn't even think anyone was out here," which I smiled and kind of gave a nod, but I was so in touch with everything non-technical and electrical that I was sending out this vibe to where all of a sudden I had a dog that didn't leave my side until his master called me or called him rather. So I was just standing there enjoying the vibe, so to speak, or the non-electronic vibe. And it really brings me to a place that's undescribable. I'm doing my best to describe it, but resulting in exactly what you're asking about, Brian. When I come out of that and I basically start putting my thoughts together, all the pieces of the puzzle seem to come together without too much of a challenge. But if I don't give myself that quiet time or that space, it's very difficult to connect with anyone and make a positive difference.
I can relate to that.
Yeah, so can I. About that positive experience, Phil, I'm getting this very chill vibe from you, and we're supposed to talk about sales and psychology today. When I think of sales, I think of the boiler room. I think of the Wolf of Wall Street and screaming at the top of one's lungs. What am I doing wrong here, man?
Let's not forget.
It doesn't
Alec
have
Baldwin.
to be like that.
Right. Let's not forget about Alec Baldwin and Coffees for Closers.
Always be closing.
Yep, always be closing. So, Brian, it's interesting that you say that because I've often been questioned about why aren't you more intense? Why don't you seem to have more of a opinion on something, or why aren't you more anxious? Or there's no need. Nothing's going to change. What needs to change is how we respond to it and how we operate when things get difficult or when they get easy. The ebbs and flows of life, and in business in particular, it's best not to celebrate the highs and lows too much, or respond to them too much, I should say, because they're going to change pretty quick. So as far as my outlook in sales and coaching and teaching goes, I basically allow my clients or students to find their place so that they're not in that boiler room or sitting at that table, hearing a fist pound on the table, because that does nothing but take away from the positive energy that everyone possesses, but we don't always know how to tap into it, or when we should tap into it, or when we can, because let's face it, we oftentimes can be our own worst enemies, telling ourselves, yeah, I don't think I'm strong enough for that, or I've tried that before, it didn't work out. Well, we're all different people from just last week or last month
Right.
or last year. So my approach is one of calm, confident, and courage approach to everything, because everything it's all manageable. We just have to, sometimes we have to break it down and take it one bit at a time. And when we can put it all together, we arrive at our goals, and mutually beneficial satisfaction occurs. And that's the goal.
Love that. I personally will
So
be
hopefully that answers
implementing.
your question.
You guys can hear me, right?
Yeah, we can hear you, Christina. You're coming in loud and clear.
Okay, I just wanted to say the calm part is, I'm going to write that down to actively incorporate into my life, because I think that I struggle to make time unplugged, like you said. I love the nature walks, I do all of that, and I can relate, but unplugging while doing it, oh my,
Yeah,
how do you?
Phil, I was like, you crazy man when you saying that.
Yeah,
like, I'm like,
how do you?
I'm like, how can I leave the watch alone? How can I leave the phone alone? Like,
No, if it's not tracked, it didn't happen.
It didn't happen.
Well, I have to say it was a process. You know, at first I did take my cell phone on the walks, or I did put an out of office on, and then it just kind of morphed into I'm just going, and it doesn't matter. All I need is the key to my car to get back in, but that time is my time, and it actually helps everyone.
I have a little tech tip for this. Brian, you know this. So when I go to the gym, I put a focus on my iPhone, and it's set up as reading. And I find that people leave me alone when it says that I'm reading. And although I'm still using my electronics in the gym, I don't get pinged, and I make it through my 30-minute Stairmaster and all of those tasks that I like to do at the gym. And then when I leave that location, the focus comes off. So there's just a little tech tip that I can bring to the table here if you want to, have uninterrupted time.
I love that. I love that. Hey, Christina, you had a question that you wanted to ask Phil, and I think I interrupted you about his perspective on sales.
I did?
Yeah, about you just texted me about how it goes beyond transactions to shaping one's personal and professional identity on LinkedIn.
Yes, absolutely. So I've been talking to Phil, and we've discussed, the vision and personal branding on LinkedIn. And a lot of people know my opinions about how strongly I think that LinkedIn is going to affect the future of work. And so I'm passionate about sales. For me, sales is everything, and everything is sales. So my question to you is, how do you translate that onto your, LinkedIn network, into your profile, without coming off too salesy, as they say?
Yeah,
sure. That's a great question, and actually, that actually goes back to my early days in being in the sales profession, and this came from my dad. And in essence, we're all selling. We're all selling something.
Dad's a good man.
Yeah. He was an awesome guy. And the best way that I can describe it is look at every person, like I mentioned earlier, as a possible client, but also listen. Most importantly, listen to what they're saying, because we can not only listen to their messages, but observing their body language, especially their face, you glean the true meanings, which is why I not only do Zoom consulting, but also on site, depending on the client's needs, so that I'm completely immersed in their environment, so that I never get the call back or the message, hey, you didn't seem to get this, or why are you not understanding this part? I'm 100% all inclusive because, as I said earlier, everyone's in sales and everyone needs something. They just don't always know what it is or how well it can benefit their life.
I agree.
Yeah. So Phil, onto that, I'm wondering, can you talked about kind of that openness to having the conversation with everyone.
Mhm.
Going one to many can be difficult sometimes. I'm wondering if you can discuss a product or innovation that you've introduced that aims to enhance that lifestyle or that comfort of somebody, and how it amplifies a personal brand for quality and innovation. How you stand out in that field.
Absolutely. So I'm going to go back to my certified ergonomics technician days on the manufacturing floor in the automotive industry and aerospace industries. And this is actually where I tied in my graduate program on industrial organizational psychology, so that what I witnessed or what I was told, I was able to, in essence, connect the dots and truly understand not only the individual's motivations, but their teams and their organizations, so that a true understanding would be realized. So what I did was I created, well, my graduate thesis, wrote it on ergonomics in the workplace. Can't really see it that well, but it's a document just north of 50 pages, which is copyrighted, and it's entitled "Ergonomics in the Workplace: Ergonomics as it Pertains to Worker Positioning and Required Tasks." So I achieved this back in 2010, which in essence put um, the printed definitions or book smarts, kind of melded those together with the street smarts, so to speak, so that when I walk into a facility or I am consulting via Zoom, I have what I consider a very strong playbook in my pocket that not only brings about the OSHA alignments and everything that goes with that, but actually how it affects our human bodies. And simply from temperature to vibration exposure to physical positioning to do one's job. And Brian, when you ask what would set me apart, that's the exciting aspect of my time in manufacturing, in that I don't just consider those 24 years of selling power tools and manufacturing material handling solutions as sometimes I considered them very difficult, and I wore out a lot of shoes and a lot of cars. But one thing I did along the way was I kept everything up here and in my heart, so that with each call that I make, with each facility that I visit, with each team that I meet, with each individual that I embrace as whatever work or work they're trying to accomplish, if I put myself in their shoes, 100% of the time they're going to benefit when I make my recommendations, no matter who the organization is or what their business is. So a lot of the assimilation comes into play, and I put myself in their shoes all the time. So it really has allowed me to be that valued resource, Brian.
Phil, I gotta I got to dive into this for a minute. Like, you've got an academic background, and you've got the theory, and you have the methodology. This makes you so different than the typical career coach. What else sets you apart from the rest of these individuals that are, like I said, part of the noise, not part of the signal?
My level of humility.
Okay.
I was raised in an awesome house with loving parents, and I was taught to not only say what you're going to do, but do it the best of your ability, no matter what it is, whether you're going to be a doctor or a garbage man. You follow your passion, you follow your heart, and nobody can stop you. And the world will be yours if
Yes,
you're
sir.
respectful of it and those in the world with you.
Got it.
I can relate to that. I follow a way of life in which I speak things into existence. It's kind of like the law of attraction. I have followed that over the years, but I really do think that saying things out loud, writing them down. I know we're in the era of not writing things down because we want to be sustainable, but for me personally, like, I have to say it out loud. I have to write it down. I have to put it in the world to trick my brain and believe it. And I have found throughout the years that it really does help me in that way. So from a psychology perspective, is there some substance to that?
Agree 100%, Christina. In fact, I wanted to share something with you, and you're both going to get a kick out of this. There was a time when I had a dry erase board in my home office that I didn't have any space on it to write. There were so many sticky notes and notes all over the thing, and they were all thoughts about what I was doing and thoughts that came to me on motivational or meditation walks. Everything landed on that board, and what that does is not only does it trick our brain, so to speak, Christina, but it becomes part of us, so that over time, you don't really need all those sticky notes. They're inside of you. And then when you're in a situation or you're asked a question, you've got the answer. It's just a matter of recalling it and presenting it.
What's the tricking yourself? I missed something here. I apologize, Phil. I apologize, Christina.
Sorry.
I know I'm being selfish today.
No, not at all. We want to be able to share Phil's knowledge with everyone. And I know we've said a lot of things today, Phil. I mean, you dropped projecting, which I wanted to stop and be like, so we've dropped projecting. We've dropped a few words that I think maybe would be doing a disservice if we didn't go back a little bit. So tricking the brain. Phil, take it away.
Man.
Okay. So we all know we should know whereabouts our pain threshold is, or our likes and dislike threshold is.
Sure.
And often it comes down to sometimes where we have assignments in work, and it's like, geez, half of this I love, but the other half I don't really want to do. So
relate.
Yeah. So what I tend to do is just as a personal thing, I'll start with something positive to kick it off and get myself in that positive mindset, and then I'll go to the bad stuff, and I'll jump in that for longer than I did the first part, and then take a break and realize and look at everything and say, oh, okay, well, I'm 40% done with the tough stuff and 10% done with the easy stuff. And I'll flip back and forth, but ever conscious of knowing how I feel. Because if I feel like my gas tank's running low, in other words, my attention span's going, or I'm hearing that beeping in the background and I'm, wanting to check it out, or the neighbor's dog's barking, that doesn't matter as long as you follow that. I'll call it a feel-good strategy, in that, yeah, sometimes we do need to trick our brain to feeling that we're okay. So if we mix the negative with the positive and do so in a positive mindset that, you keep your mind on the goal, you'll very well arrive at your goal, and that tough stuff won't be so tough the next time.
So are you, when you said that, I think of like sandwiching things. For me, I will avoid something if it's not on the side of I really am passionate about this. Um, and I will do everything but that thing I'm avoiding. And I think that I could learn from that is to do something I really like and then set a timer, stop, and then do that thing I really hate, and then reward myself maybe with something I really like ice cream, like that.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, okay. So I'm
Yeah.
also going to write that down on my list as well as actively work on being more calm.
Yeah. Yeah. I meant to share that in that once you accomplish something that you had previously loathed, yes, reward yourself, be it an ice cream cone, be it a walk outside for 10 minutes, take the dog for a break, just stand up and walk around, something that will get your blood moving and the positive ions moving once again. And yeah, an easy trip to the ice cream store does wonders.
Great to hear. All right, what?
I love it. I
That'll
love
be
it.
my.
I love it.
So to jump to the next question, Phil, could you share insights into how your diverse experience in retail, industrial, and organizational sales has shaped your professional brand? And I know that we're working on shaping it more. So even the brainstorming behind that first impression online, so to speak.
Sure. So actually, my sales journey began at the age of 15. And with my very first opportunity to serve the public in person, I found it to be not only challenging, but extremely rewarding in that there was nothing better than a smile. And we all know that's the best way to meet someone. Just give them a smile. It just knocks down the defenses and it opens a common area of communication where you can then follow it up with saying hello or good morning to a complete stranger, and you'll get a response and you'll get a smile most of the time. I have had grumps. It's okay. You got to take those with the positive ones. They're all out there because this is a diverse world we live in. But from the very beginning, I started paying attention to the importance of connecting with the person that I was dealing with. And throughout the retail jobs I've had, and then I went into industrial sales, automotive sales, which is a completely different animal altogether, as is aerospace sales. It's almost like they're like special clubs that you have to be voted in to even walk in. And then once you're in, boy, you better do things right. Otherwise, you'll get voted off the island in a heartbeat. Luckily for me, I had the belief system in me that when I hit those high levels or those high stress levels, sales jobs, I was already somewhat of a seasoned salesperson. And in one of my Dale Carnegie sales courses that I had taken over my career, I've taken a few, and I think it was the first one that the main presenter was an awesome guy here in the Detroit metro area. And I asked him one day, kind of off the record, off to the side, I asked him, I said, what is your secret to being so positive all the time with everyone? Because I've done this my whole career, but there are days and there are people or there are situations or organizations where I struggle to be that man. I have a real hard time being that positive minded, helpful professional when I'm being met with anger or frustration. And mind you, it's not always from us. We're just on the receiving end. We don't know the battles they're fighting. I'm speaking of our clients, that is, or our prospects. So what this gentleman suggested to me was, he said, Phil, says, this is a well-kept secret, and forgive the trade name on this one. He says, but you've got to wear a Teflon suit when you leave your house. That way, no matter what gets thrown at you or what gets said to you, it slides right off, doesn't stick to you, and you stay on your path, pursuing your goals in life and not be deterred by someone else's challenges.
Hey, Phil, I'm wondering, what effect do you think that Teflon suit has on your propensity to post and engage on LinkedIn?
Absolutely. What that does for me, Brian, is it removes the personal feelings of, I should just say, the negative feelings.
Sure.
It wipes them away. The positive ones, absolutely. I've trained myself to retain those, and that's where I focus. I let all the negative go, and I know there's a lot of positive out there, and it comes from me as well. And when I'm able to, and again, that's an awesome question, Brian. By the way, I like both of your questions today. This has been really awesome, and I look forward to doing it again at another time. But
Hell
as
yeah.
far as that goes, it's almost like we're a filter, and you've all heard filter off comments. Maybe he should have had his filter on, or she, whatever it is.
Thoughts
It's
are
something
my
like
own.
that. Right. It's all about what we deem essential to the situation and to our life. So I am able to, I don't always let it slide off and never think of it again. It kind of goes into a junk email box, so to speak. So
Now,
I love that resilience, man. That is awesome.
can I just put my 2 cents in here? Because
Yeah.
I love negative feedback. Not that maybe I loathe it. Okay. I have.
That's a lot different than loving it.
Yeah. Well, I'm saying negative feedback motivates me more than anything. I mean, last year I was told that I have a get out of my way mentality, and I took that as a compliment. Not to say that I'm not great at working in a team, because I am, and I do love working with other people. But I have a hard time when I see something clearly, like when I see the target at the end of the tunnel. It's like I almost want to obtain this leadership spot and bring others with me to get there. And oftentimes we see things in perception. I'm always talking about perception, is not everybody sees it the way you do. And so I've been working on that as well, because that was considered negative feedback that I had. But I took it, and it was negative at first, but it motivated me positively down the road.
excellent example.
Yeah, I love that, right? Like, I just, man, there's so much haterade out there online, right? And it just kind of eats at people, and it shuts down people, and it cancels people. And Phil, I really feel like you're giving a much more, you're not being receptive to it necessarily. You're just saying, what does it matter, right? Like, maybe somebody's had a bad day, maybe somebody's been in a bad place, right? I love that. I think that I think that you've tapped on a soft skill that really has hard economic implications. Those individuals with high levels of like a psychological safety net, that they can share information more freely. They're able to innovate. They're able to offer faster detection of where they need to go next. Wow. I mean, that's really robust. I commend you for that.
Would we say that falls into like emotional intelligence?
I would say
I'm
so.
doing a LinkedIn learning course right now, and so I did a test a few years back that I'm really into personality tests, and like DISC assessments and stuff like that. And I had a really high EQ score years ago, and I wanted to compare it pre-trauma, post-trauma. And it actually is a better score.
Oh,
Great.
Yeah.
Great.
So, and that kind of goes back into, I love having you here on the platform with us, because I have noticed a pattern that it seems like there's a really hard line in people's lives where they lack the confidence to do the tough things that they really want to do. And facing your fears is, sorry for the background noise, facing your fears is part of who I am because of the trauma that I've gone through. And I know that not everybody can relate to that, because, I'm glad not everybody has had to go through what I've had to go through. But I really devote myself to pushing people to their limits to face those fears. So do you have any advice for people who have fear? They want to do things, right? And they have been holding themselves back and almost
they want to
building the
jump.
fear
They want to
bigger.
leap.
Yeah. They want. What's your hot take on one action they can do right now to get closer to making that leap?
Absolutely. And I want to go back to Brian's last comment about how I'm able to kind of discard the negativity and not let it affect the positive forward progress that we're attempting to make with the client. I wanted to share with you that, and I mentioned that junk email box earlier, I tend to compartmentalize the negative stuff. I'll call it I actually had a less than favorable name for it in the past, but we'll just call it the junk box. And I actually open that on occasion and pull stuff out of it where it might be relevant in today's challenges, or if it's something that can help someone else. I absolutely give examples of such negativity, but I don't let it affect me, my presentation. And I always do somewhat of a disclaimer with my client in that, hey, this is only for example purposes. Don't read into this. This isn't about you, but it's something that we might be able to learn from, because there's lessons all around us. We just have to sometimes take a breath and absorb them so that we can work on our own psyche and be able to handle them better in the future when they do come up. In fact, I want to interject something right there. We often hear about, and we read these things online about, it's not about the storm, it's about how you adjust your sails. It's about that whole thing. Well, I wanted to share an analogy with everyone today that I came up with. And this happened, not quite sure how many years ago, but it just all of a sudden became a part of me. And I've lived this way ever since. And that is, if we close our eyes and imagine ourselves as surfing, we are surfing. What is the main thing that surfers do besides look at the wave that they're on? They keep their knees bent so that they can handle that wave. So
I was going to say balance.
Yeah.
I was like, my feet, I got to keep my feet on the board, but apparently it's in my knees. I didn't know. Go ahead.
Get on the board. So here's the thing about keeping your knees bent. When you keep your knees bent in any kind of skiing or surfing or skateboarding, yes, you are on a plank, you are surfing some media, but by keeping your knees bent, it allows you to respond in any way according to what comes at you. So I never feel like my hands are tied or that I can't pursue an idea that I know will help the client, even if it's a tough one. We still can do that, but I wanted to share that analogy with you. If you keep your knees bent, there's nothing you can't do or tackle.
Good to know. Good to know. I do incline walking, and my knees, as I get older, are like, I think I need to, keep my precious cargo intact.
There you go. There you go.
So, I kind of want to circle back to what you mentioned in the beginning. So the junk folder, and then you mentioned projecting, and I think there's a tie there. I know that I like to think when people approach me, and what they come to me with is often a reflection of what's going on internally with them as with me, right? So we're all kind of projecting our perception, right?
Yes.
And that's kind of what projecting is. And so, I kind of wanted to circle back to make that a little bit clearer.
Yes. And actually, I'd like to expound on that a little bit. So oftentimes, as solutions providers, we tend to, and this happens in several walks of life, or several professions, I should say, and it's quite common. We hear it about Stockholm syndrome. We take on the person's challenges who's being restrained or whatever in a bad way. It's all in the movies like that. Anyway, in real life, what I tend to do is just be yourself. And those that are having challenges, yes, they're their battles. But by being a consistent, level-headed professional, those folks that have those challenges, the challenges may be diminished if they have more of a receptive ear, and not the guy or the gal or the person sitting next to them at work with a judgmental ear because they hear the same thing each day. So what I try to do is, the old adage of standing up in front of a group and imagining yourself, or imagining all your audience and, some mode of clothing or something like that. I don't look at people like that. I look at people as every face that I see has as much or more experience as I do on this earth, and they didn't get to where they are without picking up a few things along the way. So what I try to do is make it an all-inclusive everything, even if it's just a 6-person powwow. Let's hear from everybody, and let's come up with the best plan moving forward that everybody agrees to, because we all know, and everybody on this call knows, unless you have 100% buy-in, project's not moving forward. So that's my approach.
Fair enough.
There.
Yeah, I like that, and thank you for sharing that. I'm doing my best to battle across this phone, and my ADHD is kicking in a little bit, but I want to make sure that we have gone through all of our questions. Is there anything, Bill, you have questions for us as far as...
Flipping the script, Miss Mosherry.
Yeah.
What's going on?
I'm trying to play with styles here, so I'm going to mute myself. But any questions?
I did not have questions for the two of you, but I did have a couple things that I wanted to share with everyone.
Great.
And the first is, we often receive solicitations of, hey, sign up with me, 6 visits, whatever, it's so much money, and they claim they're going to do this for you and that for you, and which is all great. Don't get me wrong. It's the world goes around because of advertising and sales. And let's face it, sales has been around since the beginning. So we're not going to dig into that right now. But I think the most important thing that we need to keep in mind when talking about sales and psychology and people-centered or people-focused business is this. And I'm quoting someone here. And the quote is, "The real difficulty is to overcome how you think about yourself." And that's from Maya Angelou. She's one of my favorite writers, and She's no longer with us. I believe she just passed recently. But those
She did,
types of,
yeah.
those types of, I call them tidbits of gold, because that's truly what they are. If we have those, and I tend to read those often, and what they
Daily?
do daily, yes,
Mm.
from
And do you think that
different,
there's some science behind that?
that's where I was going.
Yes.
So, yeah. So I read from different authors, and they all have a different methodology behind their statements. Some are theory, some are proven, some are both. And what I tend to do is I'll read something like that, and then I'll do my own work of, well, that's interesting. Let's apply that to myself. And I actually, it's something that we talked about recently, and that is, in addition to what I'm building up here, as far as just being ourselves, it's a great help to think about this. If you want to be genuine to your audience, if you want to be genuine to your clients, everybody that you come into contact with, here's a little exercise for you. Be offline, be home, or be wherever you want to be. Just don't be in public. Don't be under the spotlight, so to speak. And imagine yourself looking into a mirror. Who do you see? What do you see? Most importantly, who do you want to see? And I say that because, life's a journey. And when I first started in sales, I wasn't anywhere near the person I am now, other than the support and suggestions of my father to pursue sales and pursue connecting with people. And he said, because I'm good at it. Now, I don't know how he knew that at age 15, but he was my dad. He knew it. And here I am. But the main thing that to keep in mind is we all have unspoken or unseen battles that we're fighting. We're all in this together. No matter who we are or what we do for a living, it's best to appreciate and respect everyone around us, because quite frankly, we not only do we not know everyone's paths, their life paths, but we don't know what they're going to or how they're going to affect our life and how we're going to affect theirs. So in essence, I try to approach it all with an open heart, and I admit it, I get disappointed, I get hurt. Hey, we're all human. But we must remain vigilant in providing our services and offering our help, because we've got the Teflon suit, we've got the junk email, but we've got the tools. But most importantly, what we have is we have the courage to move forward and help everyone that we can.
Phil, you exude this big heartedness about helping and about lifting and about, I don't want to use the word pushing. I want to say priming, because you're helping them to move to
Probing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So what I tend to do is we've all heard the term qualifying questions in sales.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I tend to walk outside of the boundary a little bit, and I might ask a couple questions that might reveal something about your private interests or your hobbies, or I might just ask that, because it's truly, I believe that in order to understand a situation, you not only have to understand the nuts and bolts of it, but you have to understand the people and how they think. Because if you're not aligned with their methods of or processes that they have to abide by or that they want to abide by, you're done. You won't get past it. So Brian, back to your comment, I have adapted this philosophy of I'm a sponge.
Mhm.
Let me soak it up. Let me soak up everything. And I will definitely provide options on the other side, but I know I need to get my hands dirty, and I have a lot in my career, but there's nothing better, because then you live the life of your clients that they struggle with. And if I'm truly going to bring positivity and help, I need to walk the walk. So I do that pretty regular, and I
Yeah.
enjoy it. I truly do.
And I think that's what makes you stand out is, you know, it's clear as day that you enjoy it. And it's clear as day that I enjoy what I'm doing here, and Brian as well. And, you know, the platform really is to help people enjoy the ride. And you know, we do our best to bring the talent to the table to uncover these things and in diverse perspectives. And I think that this was like, I'm really grateful for you to be coming on and to share your expertise and your insights with our audience, because this is invaluable advice and suggestions. And I think right now we really need it. I feel like
Thanks.
there's this war on confidence across the board, and
Oh,
it's
100%. Sorry, Christina, I didn't let you finish.
no, go ahead, because I was cut after war on confidence. I didn't want to divulge anymore.
That we've bought into culture with.
Did you cut out, or is it me?
No, it was me. I think it was me. I said, I agree with you. I think there's a war on confidence. I think that there are a lot of things like social media that mitigate and destroy a person's sense of self-worth and wealth.
And self-esteem and self-image, and you know, confidence goes so much farther. Sorry for the beeping.
All good.
Confidence goes so much farther than I'm too ADD. I can't. Sorry.
It's all good. It's all good.
I'd like to add something to that thought. And yes, I agree in that it's very difficult to navigate with all the negativity coming at us. But I wanted to share something with you, and that is, and Christina, we spoke of this not long ago, and that is, we all we all as humans possess an internal compass. And this compass allows us to navigate effectively throughout the ebbs and flows of our careers and our relationships and our everyday life. What I try to do is I implore people to look in the mirror and help find their compass. And they don't always have to say much to me. They just have to, be honest with themselves, and it will surface, and it will, hopefully, everyone that I've helped so far, it's always been embraced. And they often question themselves as why it took them so long to figure this out. Well, can't ask that question, but everybody's different. We all walk a different path, but that's my message. And I hope that everyone understands that and hopefully adopts it as part of their doctrine that they operate by. Because if we operate that way, there's nothing we cannot accomplish.
Love that. And it's such a great closing. I know we're coming up on time, and it's been an incredible opportunity to have you on with us. Brian, anything you want to add to that? I mean, this has been invaluable for me, and
Dude, this has been crazy. This has been like Phil, this has been so big. Like, we didn't even get to all the questions. Yes, we're going to have you come back.
Yeah, we're going to need a part 2.
Yeah. So Phil, as we're getting ready for part 2, is there anything that we didn't ask you about that you're like, hey, Brian, Christina, this is really important to me, and I need to get this out. I need to share this with people, because this has been epic. I mean, there have been people, there have been between 15 and 35 people on this call with us today. Is there anything that you've got to talk about that we're leaving that we don't need to leave on the table?
Sure. First off, all your questions have been awesome. They have stirred a lot of emotion from me and a lot of memories, both positive and negative, and examples. You know, we all walk down that path. But I think the most important thing, and I did say this just a few minutes ago, as far as being ourselves. I think in this current state of society, I think it truly would help if we can just be empathetic a little more than we've been. You know, forgive the guy who cuts in front of you in line at the store. Hey, I just happened to me this morning. Got cut right in front of me, and he didn't even turn around. And when after he cashed out, he turned to leave, and I just winked at him because I recognized his vibe was a whole lot busier than mine. So
Understanding, yeah.
I've raised my bar, and that's a suggestion. If I could make one at the closing comments, let's try and be more empathetic. We might make a difference in someone's world.
Yeah, 100%. And I think the course I took yesterday on LinkedIn Learning, I unlocked it free for 24 hours. So if anybody is interested in getting a quick learning session about around the topic of emotional intelligence and kind of learning about our emotions and how we can interact with others, I think that should be unlocked for another 12 hours. If not, it's like a 5-hour learning path. So I will unlock more that are around that.
Keep sharing it. So Christina just dropped a gem. If you've got LinkedIn Learning, you need to share it on your feed on LinkedIn, because anybody who clicks on that link can jump into that class for the next 24 hours and take it for free, whether they're using paid LinkedIn or free LinkedIn.
Yes, absolutely. And I mean, that's for everyone. And we are so, with that closing, we're 2 minutes out. I just want to, again, Phil, thank you so much. We'll be in contact. We want to do a part 2. Next week, we have Ben Mina of the Elite Recruiter podcast joining us live, which is very exciting. Phil, I don't know if you are into podcasts. There goes that phone again. The Elite Recruiter, Ben, is one of our good friends, and he brings on people to interview, and it's really cool. And that's kind of the vision of where LinkedIn Unlocked is going. You know, we're changing styles to be a little bit more podcasty, and we definitely want to bring you back on. And I will get with you on the calendar, but yeah, this phone is killing me.
Epic. This has been epic. Forget the phone. Forget what's going on in the background.
Thank you.
We had Phil for an hour. Phil, thank you for lifting people up and teaching us to unlock our authenticity and to bring it to LinkedIn.
Oh, you're welcome.
Thank you so much.
I'm honored to have been here. Thank you both very much, and thank you to all the folks that have been on the call. Appreciate every one of you.
Yeah, and we will do replays, and we will be uploading this to Spotify. And we just want to say thank you. Anybody that hasn't already, we have a LinkedIn Unlocked page on LinkedIn. If you can follow us on there, we are hoping to soon
unlock
be able to
another feature. We're going to unlock another feature.
We can't go live from our page until we have 150 followers on our page. So we are working effortlessly to grow there so that we can go live from there instead of my page. So help us with that. Phil, we will have you back on soon. Thank you everyone for joining. And I think that's a wrap.
All right, everybody. Party people. Have a great weekend, everybody. Phil, thanks again.
Thank you.